Hello there, this is Joe Simons with Retirement Think Tank. Got a neat one here today, and this is unlike some of the other rebuttals that I've done to people like Clark Howard and Dave Ramsey and some others about annuities. And we don't try to break down those people or bash them or anything like that. What we're trying to do is just provide fair and balanced education about annuities, retirement income. You can see my two signs here. I need to get one for Retirement Think Tank. It's just has not happened yet. But this week we found a great article, and I'm going to try to pull it up here while I speak to you. Let's see. It was by David Ning of MoneyNing.com, and the article was actually in U.S. News. Yeah, so it is, money.usnews.com. Let me move this over here so I can read what Mr. David says. And by the way, check out David's site. It's moneyning.com. Awesome site. This guy's got some really, really cool stuff. So thank you, David, for putting this on there. The title of this article was Why Laddering Annuities May Not Work. And so what I'm going to show you in this video and why you should pay attention for the next 5 or 7 minutes or so is David did a really good job of explaining laddered annuities and actually had some really good points of why they may not work. I want to show you another way to look at this where you don't have to hold off and wait to buy annuities, or you can actually do it all right now and lock in some pretty serious rates without having to cross your fingers and hope that you actually get certain returns. So let's talk about his article first, and I encourage you to go read it. It's money.usnews.com, and just look for Why Laddering Annuities May Not Work by David Ning, N-I-N-G. And he talks about this whole laddering annuities, and if you're not familiar with that, what some financial advisors and planners and even some insurance agents are talking about doing now is because interest rates are so low that instead of locking in, let's just say you had $500,000 is the number I'll use for this hangout. Let's just say you have $500,000. Instead of putting it all into annuities now, why don't we put a small chunk of it and create, some income now, and then a year from now we'll put another chunk of that in, and that'll create another income stream. And to David's really good point is, there's been economists and financial gurus talking for years about interest rates going up, and they still haven't gone up. So I mean, we could be in an economy like Japan where interest rates just stay down for 20 years. I mean, no one can obviously see the future. We don't have a crystal ball on interest rates. And then also, we are at all-time highs in the market, and that could hurt your portfolio is his point. So let's just say you had $500,000 and you put $200,000 in now, and you had either $300,000 to put in at later times, and let's just say your portfolio took a 10% hit. Now it kind of just defeated the whole purpose. You were trying to save that money, and now you're just taking a couple steps back down the stairs, the opposite way on the ladder, which is not the whole point of this. So David had some great points in there, but one thing I believe he forgot to mention was the gist of buying a SPIA now to create that income, and then creating a ladder with other annuities. Maybe I'm going to show you a couple examples, some real numbers here that I pulled off immediateannuities.com. Let me just go ahead and do that. I'm going to pull up screen share, if I can do that for you real quick. All right, so here we go. So here is an example. $500,000 in a 6-year-old, and I ran this. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, so I ran these numbers, and these are pretty legit numbers. But I am going to say as a disclaimer, do not trust these numbers at all. This is not enough to go buy anything, and these could change every single day. But these numbers are pretty accurate for a 6-year-old in the state of Georgia today on May 9th or whatever day it is. So keep this in mind. This is really just for hypothetical purposes only. And this would be assuming you needed income right away. And for $500,000 for the rest of your life, I stopped it at age 90, just assuming you did die at 90. But if you're 60 years old and you put $500K in, the insurance carrier will guarantee you $30,000 for the rest of your life. So you will actually get $30,000 for the rest of your life every single year. And you can get these in monthly payments. You don't have to get one big annual one. And you can see that after the 30 years there, it's $930,000. So you've done pretty well. You basically taken all the risk off the table and put on the insurance carrier. And if you kept living to 100, you keep getting that $30,000. This will keep going forever. You can see it's a flat line. There's no room for inflation. I mean, nothing else can really save you here. This is pretty much stagnant. Now, I will point out there are some annuities that do have some inflation benefits and riders. You have to pay for those sometimes, or this could go up over time. But just for the state of argument here, this is a SPIA, which is also what David recommends. He likes SPIAs, and I do as well. It's just pretty simple. It's a commodity. It can't change. There's no pie in the sky returns. The insurance carrier tells you exactly what you're going to get day one, and these are pretty legit numbers today. All right, so now let's move this over here, and now let me go into what a ladder could look like. All right, so you're going to see numbers first, and then I'll show you a graph for those of you that love to see graphs. So here's what a ladder could look like. You see I put it into 3 buckets, and a lot of times you'll see people calling them laddered or bucket annuity strategies. This is a bucket or / annuity strategy. In bucket number 1, I've put 200,000 in, so hopefully you can see that right here in this cell. 200,000 goes in day 1 into a SPIA, and just like we saw, 500,000 would get you 30,000. A $200,000 lump sum into a SPIA today for a 60-year-old in Georgia would get approximately around $12,000 a year. So I took that all the way down to age 90, just like I did before. Now in ladder 2, and this is what's different than David's recommendation about holding off, I'm putting all 500 still into annuities day 1. Day 1, all $500,000 goes into annuities. So with ladder 2 or bucket 2, 150,000 goes into that. And what I picked is a 5-year SPIA, and this is a real product that exists right now at 2.5% guaranteed. So it's just a 2.5% 5-year MYGA, a multi-year guarantee annuity, and that's going to grow for 5 years. So we're not going to touch it at all for 5 years. We're going to let it defer, and then we're going to turn income on after 5 years of deferring it. So somewhere around our 65th birthday, we're going to turn income on that. And that should kick out around $12,000. Once again, this is hypothetical, but this is going to be approximate to what you could get today based on interest rates. And once again, you're going to lock all this in day 1. And this is what's different than David's recommendation about never holding off. And I agree with him. I would not ever hold off because there's just too many variables out there. This is something to get you something contractually guaranteed. And my good friend Stan, the annuity man, always says, buy all of these annuities for what they will do, meaning what they'll contractually do with guarantees in place, not what they might do. And that's to David's point. Don't buy these things thinking that might get better, or this might happen, or this might get a certain percentage of interest rate. All right, so that's going to kick out $12,000. So now these two combined, we're now getting $24,000 a year. Now you see here on this right-hand side, this is bucket 3. Now we got another 150,000 one in there. So 150 plus 150 plus 200 is $500,000. Keep in mind, all 500,000 went in day 1, so we're not putting anything at risk, and these are all contractual. Now this one, I'm actually putting it into a fixed indexed annuity. Some of you hate these, some of you love them. I love them personally for the right person. I hate them for the wrong person. They can ruin your retirement if you buy the wrong one or if someone sells it to you wrong. I do not like them for returns, meaning I do not think fixed indexed annuities today are ever going to make any real money. But they're awesome for income, for like basically buckets like this, to defer it, to use an income rider. And this one is a 5% bonus. This is a real product that exists with a 7% compounding income rider. So a 5% bonus day 1, and then a 7% compounding income rider. I have all my numbers right here that show exactly how I got this. So after 10 years, that 150,000 is doubled. You know, you got the whole Rule 72 plus your 5% bonus. It's going to be a little over $300,000. Now, whoops, let me go back to the number here. If we hold that, defer it for a full 10 years, and then day 1 of year 11, we now start turning that on, that should generate somewhere around $24,000 for the rest of our life. And all of these are for the rest of our life. So I'm doing apples to apples comparison against just the normal SPIA here. And this is for the rest of your life. Now you can see this is a big number. So now at age 70, it starts getting pretty exciting. And some reasons you might do this, some of you might be saying, well, hey, why don't I just take it all up front or put more in these buckets? You certainly can. This is just one example. But 2, you might not need money. You might be working up until age 70. You might be holding off for tax purposes, or something happening in your life where you don't want all this money from age 60 to 70. or if you're 70 years old, from 70 to 80, whatever it might be. There's a lot of different reasons, and everyone's going to be different. This is not something that's going to fit everyone by any means. But now let's look at the numbers here and how different it is. First of all, let me show you the number at the bottom, what the total is, assuming you went to age 90, and the spread gets even bigger as you age. But it's $1.18 million that you get over this 30-year period on a $500,000 investment into annuities. That's just coming out to you, guaranteed contractually. And you are going to have, obviously, some tax consequences, based depending on if you have qualified or non-qualified money in these. But this is going to be a whole lot better than some other things, because you do have what these called exclusion ratios, and we got a whole other video on that. But now let's go to this chart, and you can see here's how it starts off really small, and then bumps up to the 24,000 range, and then boom, it bumps all the way up to the 48,000 of total income coming in for the rest of your life, and that's where it's powerful. So now, if you can make it all the way to age 100, you're reaping the benefits here and kind of taking advantage of the insurance carrier, if you will. So this is when it gets pretty exciting for people that do hold off and do a correct ladder, and that means not holding off. I'm 100% agreeing with David. I would not ever hold off and hope things get better, hope interest rates get better, just because there's just too many variables out there, and you can't risk playing with your retirement. So let me move it back to me here. So hopefully that helped. And David, thank you for sharing that. I do encourage all of you to go check out his site, and then check out our sites: Annuity Think Tank, Life Insurance Think Tank, and then Retirement Think Tank. We got right now it's really just a landing page, but there's some incredible free reports that you can get just for putting your name and email in. We'll send you all of our little free reports. They're pretty powerful. We know you learned something from it. So thank you. Please all visit those great sites, and thank you again, David, for sharing that great article. Adios.